Hey, so this message that God has been wanting me to deliver to you has actually been pushed aside for a couple days for a few reasons. I am not a teleprompter reader. I am not I'm a teacher, but I don't like reading scripts. And when I give you my God moments, the majority of them are my lawnmower, because that's when they come to me and I have to give it to you. And when I give that to you, you're getting my raw emotions. So I've been trying to give you this message, and I've been trying to look up scriptures that go along it and explain how it relates to the things in the Bible and all this stuff. And I can't remember all that. So I have been failing horribly every time that I try to make this video. So God told me to go back to what I know. And gosh, I should have it memorized by now because I've repeated it about 700 times. But I'm going to give it to you raw, and I will throw some scriptures in to complement this and to agree with what I'm telling you, because it's very important that anything that we feel from is a God, that we go back and we check that with scripture and make sure that that is evidence in scripture as well, to find truth in it. Because we do have our own minds, and we do think about things ourselves, and we do come up with ideas. We've got a beautiful, brilliant human mind, but when God speaks to you, it's different. And but we always need to make sure that that's concrete, and we double check with scripture to make sure that that's true. So anyway, do you remember when you were a kid, 5-6 years old, and a new song would come on the radio and you were just jamming out to it and you knew every word, and you hang out with your friends and like you'd be at school and you'd be singing this song and you knew all the words and they knew all the words and you're just so cool? And then fast forward 30 years and you didn't know the words. They weren't even real words, and you had random phrases put together. And that's kind of what happened to me at 3:30 the other morning. I got up and went to the bathroom, and as I came back to lay down, God gave me a word, and the word was indicament. And indicament, whether you know this or not, is not a word. It's not a real word. So the first thing I did was go to ChatGPT, because that's my go-to, and I looked up the word indicament, and it verified that it was not a word. And it gave me several words that I could have possibly been looking for. And I landed on the word that I had thought of in the beginning when I heard it in my mind was indicative. But I'm very clear in saying that the word that God gave me was indicament. So indicative. So I'm like, I'm going to roll with this. I'm going to look it up and verify the meaning of this and see where it goes. So it was really cool, because this whole thing, I'm just like unwinding all this stuff. So like the whole time, like it's almost like I'm solving this mystery. Indicative means serving as a sign, pointing to something, evidence of something. So when I found out it was evidence of something, I was like, wow, that is all over the Bible. Because God gives me evidence through my answered prayers, through provisions, through just the fruit of his goodness and all the blessings that he has given me. I could go on for days listing evidence of God's presence. So after that, it was like, okay, indicative. I've got cats going everywhere right now, and they're going crazy. Bingo. I don't know why I did that. Then I just messed up my whole thing. Okay, so then I started thinking about the word, and I'm like, it's not just indicative. It's indicament. This is what he was showing me. Started thinking back about that day when we were taking our son to basketball practice, and his friend was with us, and we started talking about, I'm replaying this conversation in my head, we started talking about how high school students, high school athletes are starting to high school athletes are starting to verbally commit to these colleges that they're going to go to like their freshman year. That really got me thinking, because I know that they can't sign until like their junior or senior year. So I asked the boys, I was like, so if these kids are verbally committing a freshman year, are they breaking these commitments? And they're like, yeah, a lot of them break them. And Tim just started talking about how prestige and money and all these things can come into play you know, and other like family like issues or being closer to home. All kinds of things can go into a student athlete making a different decision and breaking that commitment. I'm not in any way hating on these athletes who break their verbal commitments, but what I'm saying is society has changed the way we look at commitments. Society has changed how we how we keep our promises, how we you know, hold our commitments high, and we follow through with those things. And it's just really sad. It's really sad. So committing something is to be keeping that promise, to keeping it strong. And as I started thinking about strength, I started thinking about God gave me this picture in my head. And the picture in my head was two really strong beams or pillars laying down flat in my backyard, and they were parallel to each other. And I know that I can't go pick up those pillars in my backyard. And it started making me think about how, you know, if I were to stand those pillars up in my backyard and a storm were to come, or anybody would just bump against them, they would fall over. When we make a commitment, we need to make it strong. We need to make it rooted. We need to ground it. So think about a basketball goal, for instance. We had to dig a hole. We had to pour concrete in it. We had to get the correct measurements. We had to put it in so deep to build a foundation, to build that strength, to build that basketball goal so it doesn't fall over when the kids hang all over it. And that's the same way with God. When he gives us these evidences of him being with us, we need to commit them. We need to root them. We need to lock them in, and we need to make them our foundation of our faith. And when a strong storm comes along, when a bad thing happens in your life, and if you have a foundation of those evidences that God has given you to show, to prove that he is real and that he is active in our lives, then you can stand stronger. You will not waver, because that is our firm foundation. That song has also really been in my head a lot. That brings us to indicative and commitment together. We need to take our evidence and commit it. We need to root it. We need to make it solid. So what I have been doing in that sense is I've obviously been doing these God moments. I've been trying to share my testimony of what God has shown me. But yes, I'm doing that to share it, but I'm also doing it to root my foundation and my spiritual faithfulness and clarity, because sometimes we forget. Like, it might take something to trigger my memory, but if I have a journal, or if I have a note, or if I have a section, I have a section in my chat GPT where it's my GM, it's my God moments, and I record all those God moments, and I can go back and look at them. That doesn't mean I'm going to make a video about them, but it means that I can collaborate all those things that God has shown me evidence of how he's been faithful in my life. And when I get down, and when I get nervous, and when I start letting fear creep in, I can go back to my foundation, my firm foundation, and know and remind myself that he's always been there for me. Now, God doesn't need to do that, because God knows he's there for us. But as humans, we need to know, and we need to remember what he's done and the evidence he's given. So commit the evidence that God is giving you and showing you in your life. And that's my God moment. And I finally got it done. So I don't need a script. Can't do that anymore.